That should be good. Just check here. You guys just need to let me know if the stream actually has started, because I can't really see. Let me just get back into OBS. Alright, sounds like it might have, since my phone actually popped some notification. Yeah, looking good, looking good. Alright, let me quickly just get into this topology. Where was I? I recall that I created a new lab actually, but that's after the stream ended. I wanted to duplicate the lab so that I could actually play around with something else, namely ISIS on MikroTik, and it works fine. It works pretty well. It's just the RSVP portion wasn't working too nicely, but I was actually having issues with RSVP in general due to the setup itself, because even if I ran RSVP with my OSPF topology running LDP, then I would still have problems, and the main issue seems to have been some weird Winbox bug with the GUI. Sorry, I just quickly want to make sure that we've got viewers. I don't see anybody actually connected on here. Let me just quickly refresh this live streaming. It looks like it is. Is it? Is it actually streaming or not? Because I'm not seeing anybody in the chat. No, there we go. Hello. Thank you for just making or confirming that there is live. It's weird because it's not showing anything on YouTube Studio, and usually I get all the analytics on there as well. Let me just quickly go back in Studio. I just want to make sure that the stream is actually healthy, so to speak. Let's just go into go live. There we go. Stream is up and running. Alright, no, that's perfect. Although it shows it's scheduled, which is weird. It's definitely not normal. And also my normal streaming time would have been at 9, but I just made it a little bit earlier because I wanted to fix up this topology, since, like I said in the description, I've actually made some changes, slight changes with the lab, that I was messing around with some traffic engineering tunnels. So let's just actually remove that. So this is the OSPF LDP lab that we were using in the previous stream. And I probably just want to start these nodes up quickly. So that looks good. Let's just grab them all. Actually, I could also just do the more actions and start all nodes. Like, that's the quick and easy way to get everything done. So that's a lot better. So we just want to kind of wait for these nodes to start up, and it's very minimal config that I need to revert actually. You'll see that it's just going to be some RSVP interfaces, or as MikroTik calls them, traffic engineer interfaces, that I need to take off of the MPLS network. And I also just want to I think that's actually it. I might also just have to disable the traffic engineering configuration on the OSPF settings, but that's more or less if we want to use OSPF to dynamically, learn paths and stuff using RSVP. But since this lab is kind of not made for RSVP, it's LDP, it shouldn't be doing that. So I'm just going to remove that. Even though you can run LDP and RSVP at the same time, it's not going to break your network. There's actually a lot of use cases where people do that. Did I set passwords? Yes, I did. So let's just quickly do an export here. I just want to see what we've got working with here. And traffic engineering tunnel, traffic engineering interfaces, LDP interfaces, which we're going to keep intact. It might be worthwhile to also just wind in with Winbox quickly, so we can actually see the config from there. CD downloads wine winbox. Let me just make sure I don't have my own audio feeding in. No, I don't. That's good. So I can just quickly jump onto one of these devices. Let's just advanced mode this so I can ROM on quickly. And then with ROM on, let's get onto, I'm already on PE1, but let's just connect back onto it anyways. And then it's cool to see the setup from here as well. So if I have a look at, let's say, my routing OSPF, like the settings I'm specifically talking about is if we go into the instance settings, at the very bottom there's stuff like MPLS TE address and MPLS TE area. Now this is kind of the stuff that I don't want to necessarily use with this config currently, so I'm just going to remove that. And also the RSVP tunnels, so that we would just find under the MPLS settings, traffic engineering. And this works exactly like LDP. It's just like instead of an LDP interface, it's just a traffic engineering interface or RSVP. But we'll take a look at packets, what they look like later on. But here you can see that there's like flows, the tunnels is up. It is like working, it's assigning labels and pretty cool. It can do traffic engineering. So let's just remove this, remove the path, remove the tunnel, and we are going to do that for the rest of the devices as well. The nice thing is although the whole network is running traffic engineering, if we look at the topology, all of these devices have traffic engineering interfaces. It's just the provider edges that actually establishes the tunnels with each other. So the provider edges would form kind of like this full mesh with each other, and then like you'd have a tunnel from each PE, like from PE1 to PE2, PE3, PE4, but you're not actually like adding a traffic engineering interface on any of these provider routers. Like you'll just add the interface and then you can add like it makes bandwidth reservations. So cool to actually see it in real time happening. It's a bit weird to explain it as well, but it's really cool stuff. Hey guys, welcome to the stream. So I'm just quickly going to continue and remove the MPLS TE stuff off of my devices. Maybe we can keep the OSPF config because it doesn't really break anything. So it shouldn't confuse anybody either. Did I disable? I even disabled LDP on this device. That's not what I want. Good thing I went in here to check quickly, because that would definitely have caused an issue later on in the video, or the live stream I should say. So let's just go into our routing OSPF, and then I can just re-add this MPLS TE stuff. Usually the TE address would be your loopback address, which in my case is 172.29.255.7, I think, in this lab. And then our traffic engineer area in this case is the backbone, so I'm just using that. And it's just a tunnel, so I'm going to remove quickly. So let's go. Hey, right. So hello from the UK right now. How's things in South Africa? I mean, I miss the country, but I know that the elections are around the corner. I think it's in May. So that's something interesting that I'm keeping an eye out for. So let's quickly jump in through here. I'll just do it from the command line quickly. I might just also just make a text edit for it. Let's just open up a new tab. Maybe I should also close a few of these. Close that, close that, close that. These are the Oknos configs. So nothing weird here. Yeah, it's fine. All right, so what we want to do is just quickly jump onto PE2. I also hope it goes well, to be honest. I really do. I know it's probably going to come down to some coalition type of thing at the end of the day, because nobody really has the power to just go against the current group in power, because they have too many seats. But with a good coalition, things might change actually. So what I want to do is go into my MPLS traffic engineering. You can just print this quickly or export it. So we've got interface, tunnel path. I think all of these configs are exactly the same across the board. So I can just copy this config and paste it into text. And if we want to quickly just get this done, I could just do MPLS traffic engineer path. I think it's remove 0. That should remove the traffic engineering path. Then we can just do the interface, and I can just do a remove 1 and remove 0 since we've only got the 2 interfaces. And then the tunnel, I only have a single tunnel, so it should be MPLS traffic eng tunnel remove 0. Alright, so let's just grab this and paste this into our PE2. That looks good. Do it for the PE3 and the PE4, just so that we kind of have the lab back in the same state it was before. Like, that is the whole point of these first few minutes at least. So let's paste this and do the PE4 quickly. Admin Blankaroonie. No, it's not blank, it's admin TMB123. Pop that in. And let's do an MPLS export for good measure. And what do you know? I've got the LDP disabled on these interfaces as well. So let's just quickly enable that. It's so good to catch these things before we go full throttle into the lab. So I could just do an MPLS interface, enable 1 and 0. And I can just do an MPLS LDP set enabled 0. And that should do that. So let's just copy paste this in. And it should just be a case of copy paste. Oh, okay, that first one I didn't like. Let's just see MPLS LDP set. Oh, enable, not enabled. So that is a pretty enable yes equals yes, pretty normal MikroTik thing. So the configs I'll definitely export into a paste bin, and I'll give people access to this stuff as well. I know that because on YouTube there are certain like memberships and stuff, and I do want to give some of those top tier members priority access to the labs, but it's going to be available to everybody. So if you guys are just a little bit patient as well, you'll get all of the configs as well. You'll even get the lab files like on Eve. Unfortunately, I don't have it on GNS since I'm not using GNS3, but you can definitely then do the same thing. You could just copy the config from the config file, paste it into GNS. It'll work the same way. It's not going to not work because you're using GNS3. Like GNS3 it's fine. It's good for emulation as well. I used it for years. And then I got tricked into using Eve, and I'm just kind of like stuck in it because I like it a little bit more. But it's just a little bit more that I like it. Let's just go in here, do this on the PE2, paste that in. Did I not set that right? Enable equals yes. Set. Set enable. Hang on, something is a bit funky now. Oh, because it's already enabled. But the LDP interfaces is disabled. No, it's enabled here as well. Okay, no, it's fine. Never mind, ignore me. Enable yes, copy, paste. Cool, man. That's awesome. Is it already enabled here? It probably is, because I think I was only establishing RSVP tunnels between 2 PEs to test with, if I remember correctly now. Yeah, I was just using like PE1 and PE4 coincidentally to test the RSVP tunnels just to see if the stuff's actually working. Alright, so this should be the big parts of the configs that I actually want to just scrub. I think from the last video there was another thing that I did or that I wasn't completely happy with, and that was that I enabled MPLS on the route reflectors as well, even though it should in theory not need MPLS. It should just be straight BGP connection. Oh, and I also didn't set cluster IDs. So that's another thing that we can look at doing as well. But for now, the big thing that I want to get done is let's play around with the layer 3 VPNs, because I think I've even got that in the title, if I remember, like messing around in Eve and whatnot. Learn with Joseph. Did you see my question? No, Joseph. What was your question? I didn't see any question unless it was from the previous video. Then I probably missed it. So feel free to just ask again. Alright, so PE2, PE3, PE1, PE4. So big thing that we want is we've got a customer 1 that we're going to be providing some layer 3 VPN services. And I think they've got a second site as well, but that's using VXLAN, something that we can just inject into the same VRF, really. So for starters, I want us to really think about these bottom Ps as the real devices, as like providing services to the customers. I might move the stuff around a little. Just want to make sure it doesn't look like terrible where we put it. Oh, why did that happen? That's not normal. Let's just pop that there. Just to demark this a little bit better. Maybe put it there. Oh, isn't too good there. That's fine. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, it should be layer 3 VPN then. Perfect. But I think they'll get more done than just layer 3 VPN. It's actually so straightforward to set up, to be honest. That should probably get there. Yeah, that looks good. Because I might just move these connections away from these top PEs and just rename them to like transit or peering routers or whatever. Not to confuse people, because I've seen people be like, hey, you don't want to bring your peering into your provider edge where you're bringing your customer services. And I totally agree with that. It's just more or less in this emulated environment, it makes more sense to demonstrate like where routes are coming from, because it looks a lot easier to understand traffic coming from north to south or east to west, you know. All right, cool. Let's quickly jump back here. I just want to scroll on the chat. All right, nothing is happening that's weird there. So layer 3 VPN, let's just start off with Winbox. I might jump onto PE2 for this, because I want to start with PE2 and PE4. So new Winbox, connect ROM on, and then we can find our PE2. And let's just quickly max this. And what's also nice, even though it looks a bit weird on Linux, but I can appreciate that Linux and Windows does this with these docked windows that you can like add. Because now we can add the two PEs side by side. Even though it's not doing it nicely now, because I'm using a hypervisor, so it's kind of like jumping into my next screen there. But that's kind of nice that you can have these windows side by side if you want to like compare configurations between your devices. Does it fix and how, please? Yeah, catch you later, man. Enjoy, and thanks for tuning in. No, that's true. It's like 10 o'clock there. Learn with Joseph. Does it fix and how, please? Sorry, I'm not 100% sure what you're asking. If you don't mind just repeating your initial question, perhaps, if I missed it, because I didn't see any question. Like, does it fix and how, please? I'm not sure. All right, so let's quickly start with our routing. Since we do want to work with VRFs, oh man, it's been a while since I've done this on MikroTik, but it should be pretty straightforward still. We've got this VPN tab with the BGP that we can just leverage to actually push the MPLS information across, or the VRF information across, I should say. So I first maybe want to create a VRF. So let's start there. Let's add a new, I think MikroTik changed this as well, didn't they? Where you can add the VRF. Damn, I can't see it from here. There's a VRF list. Let me just minimize that one window and see if this, and I might need to zoom out a little bit. So if we go IP VRF, all right, so it was fine. in our VRF list, we can just assign some interfaces to a VRF. So I could perhaps just add on this plus, and this VRF, I could just give it a name like Customer 1 VRF. And actually, I think it really, although you don't need to do it, but I've seen a lot of ISPs also tend to do stuff like they do VRF underscore just to keep track of all the VRF names, but you don't have to do that. You can literally just call it Customer 1. It's totally fine. And then which interfaces were going down to the customer? It was Ether 2 on PE2. Just make sure I'm on PE2, because now I'm on PE1. What was PE1? PE1 was using also Ether 2. Okay, no, that's straightforward. I can just add Ether 2 on both. It's not going to be an issue. So on PE2, let's just go into our, just need to zoom out a little bit. IP VRF, add a new VRF, Customer 1, and that is my Ether 2. And that doesn't necessarily need to be a physical interface. That could have been a Q and Q or 802.1q, like a VLAN. It could have been a VLAN or a sub VLAN type of thing. So just something to take note of. You can add different things in different VRFs, so you don't need to waste all your physical interfaces for this stuff. All right, cool. So we've got a basic VRF there, and one thing I'd like to maybe do just to make sure it is working, I should see on Ether 2 I have a, what is that, CE1, although I haven't added any interface yet. Let's quickly add a IP address just on both ends, because I don't even think I've added the IP on. No, I have. Okay, that's perfect. So I can just quickly copy paste this IP. So 164.0.1 is PE1. Then I can just go onto this topology, jump into CE1, and admin, I think, did I actually log into these devices? It seems I have. I haven't added any IPs yet, so let's just add the IP address of 164 add address equals 164.0.2, and that should be on Ether 1. Let's just make sure Ether 1, yeah. And then on Ether 2, it is .10 we're going to use. So do a .10. And let me just quickly check, can I ping 164.0.9? That times out, can I ping .1? That responds. But I think it's because I haven't added the IP on PE2 most likely. So let's just check on PE2 IP address. I have added the IP address 164.0.9. So that's fine actually. Let's just have a look at our IP neighbor, see if it's picking up that IP address now. It sees the C there. Can we MAC ping it? We can. So if we get a MAC response, it's quite interesting. 164.0.9. Oh. I don't know if you guys see what's wrong. It's actually a very silly fault. Very silly thing to do. And it seems like I have the wrong interface specified there. So let's just update that quickly. So IP address set interface equals Ether2 for line item 1. Now I'm pretty sure the ping will work. So C 164.0.9, it does work. And from a MikroTik, if you're not aware, if you want to ping across a different VRF or something, it's pretty straightforward. You can just do a ping 164.0.10, and all right, I remember routing instance there, but here you can just do a VRF equals, and you can specify the customer VRF, and that should just kind of work, which it does, which is cool. All right, but just having a VRF on the local device, on the actual PE, it's just on a single node now. We want to span this VRF between different nodes. It might work better if I also just quickly add this on the PE4. just for our own sake, and this I might just do from the CLI quickly. So we could do it should be IPVRF, add name customer 1, interface, and that is going to be on PE4 also Ether 2. Easy peasy, I like it. Have we added the IP address here? 164.1.9, that's good. Let's just copy that and then probably just also add that onto the CE2 this side. All right. So IP address print, nothing added. Let's just quickly IP address add, address equals, paste this, pop that, and this interface is going to be Ether 2. So let's just quickly see, can I ping across? 164.1.9. I can, cool, okay, perfect. All right, let's add the actual VRF stuff now. So I can just go onto my PE2, go into our routing, BGP. We can go into our VPN. And let's add a VPN. So route distinguisher. This should be unique per VRF, I should say, per customer. So we could use maybe something like our own AS number. I think I made it 300. Give it a little colon there, and then maybe like 1 for customer 1. And then I could just do let's do a per VRF allocation policy. Hi Eugene. And let's import and export route targets. I'm just going to use the same thing. Now what I want you to think of this is, it's literally just taking this route distinguisher and then it's importing or exporting routes that's inside that route distinguisher, because at the end of the day, the MPLS is kind of just using this route distinguisher to store the information and pop it across the whole provider network. I'm not going to do anything with the import filter or export select. I really don't even know what that does. We'll figure it out together. But the redistribute is quite nice, because this is actually going to tell us what we want to push into our BGP VPN. So maybe I want to advertise our connected routes, and maybe I want to advertise any static routes. And I also want to set up BGP actually between the customer's equipment and our own equipment. So I'm going to also just redistribute the BGP routes as well. And we can just apply this. I don't know if we also need to redistribute this BGP MPLS VPN. Potentially, we'll see. The second address, Marcus, on which device? On the customer edge? Because hang on, let me just get on to provider edge 2 quickly. Provider edge 2, IP address 164.0.9. And then on our customer edge, is customer edge 2. All right, now I'm freaked out a bit. Hang on, I need to also just figure this out quickly. Hang on a minute. Where is our provider edge 4? That's actually what I was testing with, and that we did from the CLI, didn't we? PE4, where are you? There. All right, okay, that makes sense. So Ether 2 on PE4 has this IP, and the customer edge which is on the right hand side, has 164.1.10. So this I can ping across. Unless you're speaking about a different IP market, sorry, and then I'm not following. But if there is some error, we'll fix it now as well. That's kind of like the cool point of this. All right, cool. So we've got our, I see one mistake I've already made with this BGP VPN configuration. The VRF, I didn't specify it as the customer 1 VRF. So that would have been also a little bit of a humiliation. Let's just apply that. And let's go back here. I'll just minimize it. I'm going to struggle with this window because this mouse is literally borderless. It's just jumping onto my next screen, so this is why it doesn't snap properly when I'm trying to attach a window on the side here. Okay, so let's go on to our other device again, our PE4. Oh, and here's a little cheat. Here's a little cheat that I use all the time, which might save you guys a lot of time as well. I mean, you already see we do a lot of notepad stuff. So if we just do a routing BGP, export this, let's just max this a bit so we can actually see the config a bit better. I might just copy this and just edit it in a text editor, and then it's a lot quicker to just paste this across to another device. So let's just do this. Hang on. There we go. So this is all technically one line. Just make sure, there we go. That's technically one line. VRF is customer 1, that's fine. Route distinguisher is fine. Technically all of this config is exactly the same. Like there's nothing special. So I can just copy this, pop it in the CLI quickly on PE4. Hit enter. Hi, my name is Susan. I have two ISP Starlink and local ISP. What is the method to load balance between both of them without one of them knowing that I'm load balancing? So if you're going to be load balancing in that instance, it depends on what type of connectivity you have with both providers. Is it triple PoE? Is it DHCP? Is it static addressing? I mean, personally, I would probably use per connection. What's it per connection? It's not class or something. It's just called PCC. If you Google that quickly, PCC load balance. It's like the first thing that pops up anyway. MikroTik has their own video on it as well. Like this would be the best way to load balance between two separate connections. It was used a lot back in the day with stuff like ADSL, where people had multiple DSL connections, and then you've got like 4 triple PoE connections, and then how do you properly load balance? And this is what people tended to use back in the day for that. So it should work fine for like Starlink and another ISP. So I'd suggest just find the PCC video and then also have a look at the documentation and then try and set that up. That should be good. All right, let's quickly have a look back at our connections here. I just want to see if I go into my IP routes. In theory, if everything's set up properly and we go into our customer 1 route, we've received a copied route, and this has been copied actually from MPLS into this table, which is pretty cool. Because here we can see it's got like a label assigned to it. It's being imported. So the cool test that we can do to actually see if this works is we could oh cool, Marcus. I think I know what you were talking about. Will be nice if you can add BFD into the mix. Yeah, we can definitely add BFD into the mix. BFD is freaking awesome. I love BFD because it really makes the whole process of finding an error so much quicker. It's so much quicker. And since BFD is working, I think, on both OSPF and BGP at the moment, we should be really good to lab this as well. One thing I want to do is just quickly make sure that I can reach between our connected subnets. So I might just do a quick ping. What was it? Or where am I? Let's just do a IP route print. Where is this routing table? Yes, that is routing table. So that's customer 1. So if I do a quick ping to, well, I might have to zoom in for this, sorry. 164.1.9, which is PE4's directly connected IP on its Ether2 interface. If I ping this from the customer VRF, do I get a response? No. Although I might need to source this from my actual IP as well. So let's just source this from 164.0.9. And that times out as well. Huh, that's interesting. There's definitely something that's not 100% right then, if that's timing out. I'll need to check it now. This is great. So now we get to do some troubleshooting. Oh. Hi, Nick. All right, so what I want to do is just grab one of these customer edge devices, and let's just finish the setup between the PEs and our customer edges so that we can actually just learn some routes, and then we'll fix the MPLS portion, because there's definitely an MPLS issue here, 100%. So if I jump onto the CE1, we can just do the BGP section quickly. So that might be routing, BGP, connection. Let's just add a BGP connection, and we can give it the name of 2. Yeah, let's just make it 2 PE1. No, 2 PE2. We can do our remote address is going to be our PE2's IP. So in this instance, 164.0.9. Then our remote AS is going to be 300, which is what we've assigned to this network. And we have this AS that I can barely read, 64533. I'm just gonna, can I copy this? No, I'm just moving stuff around. 64533, 64533. I'm just gonna write it down here. So our local AS, or that's not how you specify it. You just type AS equals, and then we can do a local address. That's what we actually want. So with our local address, that is our update source, and that's just basically going to be like where these BGP messages are going to be sent from. So I'm going to be using 164.0.10, and then if we do a local, we get cool stuff like our local role. Now, this is kind of where you need to weigh what's the difference between, you know, like basic studies, eBGP versus iBGP. And if you think about it, when I was a lot younger and dumber, I used to think that iBGP meant for like internal connections and stuff. So I know how confusing it can get when you're like, oh man, I'm peering with somebody locally, so that must be an iBGP connection, but that's not the case. You don't want to use iBGP for that. So please make sure that you always specify your BGP stuff correctly. You are going to be peering with another autonomous system, so we will just be using our local role is going to be eBGP, because this is an eBGP session, because we are a different AS than what we're connecting to. I do like that they have these roles set up, even though I don't think many people use these things like eBGP-provider, eBGP-RS. I haven't actually seen this used in any real type of setups, like eBGP-customer. It's usually just an eBGP peer. Although with iBGP, it's a little bit different. You've got your plain iBGP connections, and then you've got stuff like iBGP route reflector or iBGP route reflector client. And I think these are kind of self-explanatory, even though we did set up the route reflector in a previous, I think, session. You just need to remember that one device is going to be responsible for reflecting the routes back to the rest of the network, whereas another device is just there to kind of receive those routes. You don't want everything just reflecting onto each other, because that can also cause a bit of a mess. All right, so we've got our role. What else do we have? We might use the BFD as well, but let's just do a router ID firstly. Router ID, it can be dynamically assigned, though for something like a customer's WAN link, I might just use the WAN link IP. So 164.0.10 could be my router ID, 164.0.10. Is there anything else that's special? I still need to set those cluster IDs on the route reflectors, so just help me remember that, and let me forget that, because I'm probably going to forget it. Let's just set our connect to yes, listen yes, and we might use BFD just now. I just want to make sure that we finish off the basic stuff. Address families, by default it will just set it for IP, so I don't really need to specify that. But we do want to specify our output. So output, here we can set an output network, and this is where we can basically set our BGP networks as well. Now, traditionally, this might be where you might type in a network and it would be advertised out that way, but MikroTik does a bit weirdly, since we are going to have to add a firewall address list, and then we'll reference the firewall address list for the networks that we want to advertise out, which kind of is cool as well, kind of makes sense. So I could just call this address list BGP out and just tab it, see if there's anything that's really missing that we want. We're not multi-hopping, we're not changing any ports, no TTL changes. Yeah, this is pretty good, pretty straightforward. We'll get back in the filters as well, because I know, man, I'm going to struggle with it again, since the filtering has become so programmatic almost. You know, you're kind of like scripting all of the events, which is really cool, but it's also hella confusing if you're not doing this on the regular. So I should just be able to pop enter, and it takes it no problem. So I can just quickly also copy this, and in true lazy network engineer fashion, we are just going to reverse our config. So this might be to CE1. Remote IP is going to be .10. Remote AS is going to be this little AS here. And then our AS is going to be 300. Local address. This I might make .9. We could also maybe use the loopback address for this, since that's going to be unique across the whole network, but it doesn't really matter. It's like apples and oranges. eBGP session, router ID is .9. Actually, the local source, it kind of does matter. We did want it that. I was more or less specifically talking about the router ID. Can you redistribute from other protocols directly? Yes, you can redistribute from other protocols directly. You can literally go in, and I could give you a small demo, I guess. If we grab onto here, although this is where the scripting comes into play as well, which makes it a little bit more difficult. In the old version of RouterOS, there used to just be like a button to redistribute OSPF, and then it would just do it. Let me see if it's still like this. Output redistribute. Never mind, it's still there. So you could just like come in here and select what you want to redistribute, and you could redistribute your static and connected and any other VPN routes or whatever. So I guess this is fine. I mean, this is kind of like also the lazy way to do it, because I've done it like that before as well, where you just redistribute the routes out like that. But then you tend to end up with a lot of unverified routes as well, which is fine. You know, it's just like another thing that you need to be mindful of. I mean, you could do the same with OSPF. If we go into the routing OSPF, I think we do it from the instance as well. We do redistribute and redistribute. It's just a tick and you go. It's super simple, super straightforward. Where was I? I was busy just recrafting this. So connect, yes, listen, yes. I'm not going to specify an output network for the provider edge device. I'm actually just going to do a default originate, which is kind of just going to populate it or advertise a default route down to our customer edge. So let's just grab this, copy it. This looks good to me. Router ID. Only thing that you guys are going to see is that I am going to make a small tweak with the default originate. So I might just paste this in quickly, see that it takes. And then once that has taken, we can just go into our routing, BGP. Sorry, my music stopped, and I kind of like spaz out if I don't have like a background noise. I don't know why. All right, let's go back. So we've got, oh, and let me just get back onto the stream chat. We combine, say OSPF, but filter for specific routes. I think so, if I remember correctly. I think you can. But that's where we're going to get back into route filters. Let me just quickly show you what a route filter kind of looks like. If you go into routing, you're literally setting a route rule, and you're programming this stuff. It's let's go into the documentation because it gives a better like example to see what, but it's very powerful what you can do with the route filters. So if I go on to help.mikrotik.com/docs, we can look for filters. Is that the route filter, route selection and filters? Possibly. Yeah. So here we can do all kinds of cool matches and actions, and you could redistribute like the certain routes, but you could apply a route filter against it and then drop specific prefixes that you might be advertising out or that's coming in. It's pretty neat. It's pretty neato. So there you can see you could even do stuff like if the protocol matches connected or OSPF, then you could accept it, or you could drop it, or you could add specific things to it, like your BGP things. You could prepend things for certain things as well. It's quite nice. All right, let's go back to our topology, and I just want to do that default originate quickly from PE2. So routing BGP connection to our CE. And this is very straightforward to do as well. I think it's from this extra tab, default originate. So you've got never, if installed, and always. Now, never is, I think, self-explanatory. If installed just means if the default route exists in the table, pop it out. And then always, typically you'll see people just use always because it's the easy thing to do. So I'll just pop always. But since I don't have a default route inside this customer 1 VRF, I might have to actually create a fake, a dummy route, or you'll see if we get there. But from memory, I remember this actually working. So let's just go into the CE1. And if I do a routing BGP session print, all right, that's not good because we want to see that the session is actually established. Did I mess anything up? That's probably going to be the case. Because this should, oh, I think I know exactly what's wrong. It's nice if you guys get to see me in real time when the cogs are turning and I'm thinking, hey, what am I doing wrong? And then I remember, hey, with this BGP session, I didn't specify my routing table and VRF. So this is obviously not referencing the right connection because now the PE is trying to form this BGP session using the main or the global routing table, and it shouldn't. It should be using the customer VRF because it's inside the customer VRF, the interface. So apply it, okay this, and I think this should come up now. Let's look at our session. I already saw it just pop up there. So if we go back to our customer edge 1 and we look at our sessions, we can definitely see we've got a session. It's established. And now it's the interesting part. Do I have a default route out from this provider edge? I do. Yay. So now we've got, you know, basic metrics for MikroTik. It's 20 for the BGP stuff. MikroTik tends to favor a BGP route quite heavily. It's quite interesting to see. Or I should say an eBGP route. iBGP not so much, but eBGP, it's always going to try and just use that. All right, let's quickly see here, 0000. But the question is, can I ping? And I think I know why the other ping was maybe failing. Still waiting for answer, bro. Joseph, or I have no idea what you're asking, brother. I saw you. You haven't actually asked me a question. The only thing you said was, did you see my question? And then you said any lead. And then you asked, still waiting for answer, bro. Could you please repeat your question if you don't mind, Joseph? Because I honestly haven't seen any question from you. I'm reading what I could see from you. If you have a question, just please repaste it and then I'll answer. Unless you're saying like bad words or something, maybe the chat is like moderating it. Because I'm not seeing anything. So while we figure that out, I'm just going to continue here. I just want to see, can I ping 164? Was it 1.9? All right, so 1.9 and 164.0.10. All right, so that's still failing. But that's fine. I'm half expecting that. So we've got customer edge to PE. Let's just quickly do the PE4 to CE2 config as well. It's relatively quick to do. What would be interesting to see is on PE4 if I'm learning that BGP route for the customer. Oh, but I haven't advertised any route out yet from the customer either. So let's just quickly do that. I don't even think I added a LAN IP for the customer yet. So let's do an IP address print. What LAN IP? How not to show your ISP servers when using. I just see how not to show your ISP servers when using. But I think you actually posted on one of my videos as well, where you said you don't want to show your ISP servers when running a speed test or something. And in that instance, you probably want to run a VPN. As silly as that sounds, you probably just want to connect somewhere with a VPN, and then this way the speed servers will just see your VPN IP address. It won't see your actual IP address, because I'm sure from what it sounds like you're conscious about what you're exposing to the internet perhaps, so maybe you don't want people to see what your public IP is, and that would be the one way. The other way is you might use a generic test site, maybe like fast.com, I think. Because fast.com, it does the speed test, but it doesn't show you. It does kind of in the background. You can see it in more options. Let me show you. So if I just drag the screen across, this is fast.com. It's very straightforward speed test thing. We can just refresh that. And there you'll see how fast your internet connection is. Although this might actually bug the stream out a little bit, because I'm pushing like a gigabit connection. Only if you click on the show more info will it show you what your IP address and stuff is. So that this is useful if you also just want to do a speed test and not show what your public IP is, I guess. But if you're going to use like speedtest.net, get on a VPN if you don't want people to see what your IP is. Does that answer your question or not? All right, so let's also just continue in the background with the CE1. What LAN IP address do we want to use? Maybe like 192.168 1.1. If you're asking how do you connect with a VPN, Joseph, I might recommend watching some of the videos on my channel specifically going over VPNs. I've got like a lot of videos showing you how to connect with Molvad or NordVPN or stuff like that. So if you want to check it out now, you can just go through my the videos on the channel. Otherwise, afterwards, I'll post about it, or I'll respond to your YouTube comment with the video so you can go and have a look. That's not something that I'm going to do in real time in this lab. Yeah, WireGuard's good. WireGuard to maybe like a cloud server somewhere. That's perfect. That's what I would use, to be honest. Like, you will have full control over it. It's your VPN. You can just WireGuard, or you WireGuard to like Molvad. Yeah. So, Smudgy, I am located in the middle of the UK, which is weird because I'm not, I'm not like in London or any of those places. I'm like kind of in the country, but it's fun. I mean, I'm happy in the location we're at. It's pretty central. I said I was going to finish up CE and PE4 quickly, CE2 and PE4, so let's just do that very quickly at supersonic breakneck speeds, because I can technically just copy and paste a lot of this config again. So, oh, and I was busy assigning an IP for CE1. So CE1, let's just add the IP address of 192.168. Let's make CE1.10. And then CE2 I'll make .20, because it's just for my own sanity and sake to understand where what is. And we could add this IP address to ether 3, it's fine. Since this is an Eve environment, the interface is already considered up, so I don't need to like do anything weird. The IP is technically live already. However, remember we had this config with the BGP where we are exporting anything that's in this BGP out networks. So there's two ways to fix this. We could also do that redistribute trick, but that would just make that the route when it goes out come across as an unverified route, even though we don't really need verification when it's coming from like a customer's LAN address. Like we're not going to be sending that to the internet, so it doesn't really matter. But just for consistency, I'm going to be using this firewall address list. So I'll just quickly add an IP firewall address list. And the name is going to be, actually you need to type list is the name, so list equals, and this is going to be this BGP underscore out. So BGP underscore out. And then we've got our address, and this is where you specify like your networks. So I'm going to specify 192.168.10.0/24. I'm a junior engineer, love watching your vids. Well, welcome. It's really a nice country. I really enjoy the UK, and I'm happy you're watching. Like I'm happy to just hang out with you guys and just lab it up a bit. It's quite fun to do. I don't think I'm smart. I think I'm really dumb sometimes, but I think I'm at least persistent enough to figure things out. I think that is what. But most people can be persistent. That's a nice thing. Everybody can do good work. Everybody can do what I'm doing, as long as you're just persistent enough. Cool. Happy to see more of you guys. I actually missed live streaming, to be honest. It was quite fun. But for the people that don't know some of the lore, the background, I became a father, and if you become a father, doing stuff like live streaming is not going to work. But now that my son he's like 3 years old now, he's old enough to, you know, he goes to bed and he pretty much stays asleep. So that allows me to, you know, do things like this again. No, that's all right. Thanks for coming, Roger. Love the OSPF vids. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that is awesome. Damn, where was I? I was busy adding this address list and add that. And this should, in theory, I might have to just refresh the BGP session for that route to actually come out. Possibly not. Let's just quickly have a look at PE2 and see if we, oh, I think I was learning the route actually. No, I was learning the route. What I don't like is, and this is a problemo, I do not want to learn my own route back from iBGP or over the MPLS table. So this has to do with this redistribution we're doing with the BGP route. So let's just quickly make a slight change to the routing BGP VPN stuff. We'll fix this though. We'll tweak this stuff and figure it out and do it properly. All right, so here we've got our customers network we're learning from BGP. And in theory, we should at least be able to get to the customer's LAN address. So if I do a ping to 192.168.10.1 and I source this from their VRF, since they're a very friendly customer and they've got very open IPs and they don't have any firewall rules or any special routing or anything, now I can just ping it. So that's cool. That's nice for just verification. I think it's the underlay as well, but we'll figure it out. We'll troubleshoot it. That's kind of half the fun with being a network engineer, is the the troubleshooting portion. It's figuring it out why it's not working. All right, so we've got BGP to there. We've technically got an MPLS network. We just want to sort out the connectivity between the PE4, CE2, and then we can properly dive into why this isn't working. I might just want to check out my redistribution on PE4. So from here, I see I am also redistributing the BGP routes there. So I might just quickly disable that or remove that for a little bit. So routing BGP VPN set. Or actually I could just edit my 0. It should be the only thing I have here. Then I can edit my export.redistribute. And this looks just like Linux, doesn't it? this looks just like Linux. So I can just save that. And technically, if I do a routing BGP VPN export, we should only be redistributing connected and static. Oh, might make like a bit of a funny face, but my leg's gone like a bit numb. It's probably from sitting on the chair for too long. I don't know. It's like my legs falling asleep. Not fun. But I'm not going to start doing jumping jacks while I'm on the stream either. So we've got that done. Let's just quickly do the BGP setup. So we've got routing, BGP connection, adding a connection. Actually, I said I was just going to copy and paste this, so this might be a bit quicker. Routing BGP, add export. But this is from the customer. No, that's the VPN stuff. So .1, easy peasy. But if you remember, we had our other thing we had to set up. But I can just copy paste this quickly and then just set it in the connection settings. Ah, that's cool. I love Argentina. All right, let's do this. Routing BGP connection. Let's print this. All right, there we've got R2, CE1, and that's on line item 2. So we can just set some of the properties there. So routing BGP connection set. Let's just set our VRF. I know this is going to be customer 1. And our routing table is going also to just be in that customer 1 VRF. And that was for line item 2. I actually think it might also be freaking out a bit because of, sorry, I'm going off a tangent here, but I've got the 2 route reflectors, but I didn't set a cluster either. So I might just disable one of the route reflectors quickly just to not make any weirdness happen. Could fix the cluster afterwards. But that's definitely one thing that I'm in my head just concerned about while I'm thinking about this connection between PE1 and CE2. So let's jump onto CE2 quickly. CE2, and we can do the same setup, but CE2 does not use a VRF. Hang on, I think I messed something up. I definitely did on PE4. If I looked at that text. So we can just do a routing BGP connection export. And here I can definitely see my router ID is wrong. So let's just quickly set that as well. So routing BGP connection set router ID 164.19. That was for line item 2. All right. So let me just quickly go through this. This looks fine. Name. Oh, I didn't set the default originate. Let's just set that as well. Is it add defaults? Set. Let me just tab it. It should be output.default originate equals always for number 2. Perfect. All right, now I can do CE2 without like worrying too much about it. Where's that text document? Right here. Just copy this, paste it below, and I can just make this 2. Oh, I even got the name wrong because that should be to CE2. I'll fix the name as well now, but the name doesn't really matter. It's just a name. It's just an identifier for us as the administrators to know what the heck is going on. Remote address is .9. Remote AS is 300. Our AS is 6433. Our local address is .10. Our local role is eBGP, that's fine. Our router ID is 1.10. Name is sort of. I mean, the name is definitely still relevant and important. It's just, it's still going to form the connection regardless of what characters I put in there. But you can add like a comment. Can you? Hang on. Maybe I'm in, I just want to go into the routing BGP quickly. I don't think you can add a comment like you could with an IP address to specify. So yeah, in theory, technically, it's also like a comment. So make it something descriptive so you know what it is, especially for other administrators. Because at the end of the day, if you're working in any type of, I should hope, in a large network, there's going to be multiple people working with the stuff. So the more descriptive you are with things, the easier it is for everybody. I was just busy with the text here, and I want to do an output.network. Is it network or networks? Now I'm confused. Equals BGP out. I think we can just quickly verify by going on to, what was it, PE2. And we can just do a routing BGP export. And I'm looking for, no, I want to be on CE1, sorry. My bad, my mistake. So CE1, routing BGP export. It is output network, one word, one network. So network equals BGP out. Yeah, that looks fine. Although CE2 is connecting to PE4, so I would have gotten the name wrong again. So let's just copy paste this into the CE2. Where is it hiding? CE2. I might just close all these windows as well. But I'm going to close Winbox when I do that. Let's just do that. Did I even connect onto CE2 IP? I swear I did. So IP address add. Let's just add the IP address of 192.168.20.1/24 onto Ether3 as well. And then let's add this BGP config. And then let's add our IP firewall address list, add list equals BGP out. And our address is 192.168.20.0/24. So let's see, routing BGP session. Ah, nice, we do have a session. And I could also just quickly fix that name on PE4 so I don't get confused later on, like 5 videos down the line. Yeah, sorry, Jim. So routing BGP connection. So line item 2 is to CE1, which is wrong. So let's just quickly set that routing BGP connection set name to CE2 for line item 2. Let's just see if it took it, and if you don't see what I changed, it's that, like this bit here. I just updated that from CE1 to CE2. All right, but that doesn't really matter. And also, if you like, I think if you just change the name, I don't think the BGP session dies. Routing BGP. Let's just see how long the session is up. One minute 33 seconds. All right, that's good. That's fairly good. So session did not just go down because we changed the name. All right, let's go back into our provider edges. Actually, we don't even need to do that. I could just test from between my CEs quickly. And then the real fun starts, where we troubleshoot a bit of things. So from CE1, I run a ping to 192.168, was it 20.1? And I source this from my LAN subnet, 10.1. What do we have? We have a net unreachable. And this is where it's definitely something with the MPLS that's not working correctly. And it could even be some of the, because when we started the stream, I mentioned I was fiddling around with RSVP and stuff like that. So it could be that maybe I fiddled around with these provider routers as well. So let's just quickly make sure. Let's jump into provider 2. Even though I saw that BGP is working, we saw that the VRF was being spanned across. So let's just do an export for PE, or P2, I should say. Just want to look at everything here. But there's some cool stuff we can do in the background as well. I could also potentially do something like a packet capture quickly on, because we know it's coming in on Ether 2, and it might leave over, it could potentially leave over Ether 3 or Ether 1, but technically I think it should be going over Ether 1. Since we're using LDP, and this should just follow whatever OSPF tells it to do. There's some LDP messages. What do we see? All right, but I'm just going to leave that running in the background for a bit, and then let me just quickly go over these provider configs. So we've got OSPF. We've got the traffic engineer stuff. Even though I'm not, it shouldn't break anything, to be honest. We've got our OSPF area. We've got IPs. We have LDP running, which is fine. I'm sure the LDP stuff is fine. There's the RSVP stuff. I might disable the RSVP just in case, although I don't think that will break the connection either. But let's just be safe. So MPLS trafficking remove or delete, or its interface remove. So I've got 3, 2, 1, 0. And let's jump into some of the other devices. So that was P2, and P2, the rest of P2 is fine. So let's just go into P1. One thing I want to check as well, there's another thing that might be the issue. Let's just have a look at those routes quickly. If I go into PE2 and I look at the routes, we can see that the gateway, yeah, that might cause some issue. But this gateway should be fine. 172.29.245, 10. Okay. Let's just check the BGP stuff quickly. Connected, static. I mean, is this doing what it's supposed to do here? What am I missing? I feel like I've ran into this before and I fixed it. I have fixed it. Go into the MPLS. Okay. Don't have the interfaces here, which is fine. MPLS, MPLS. That's fine, that's fine. Distribute for default. No, we don't do anything there. Only Ether 1 and 3 should be doing LDP, because these are the only things that's actually going into the MPLS network, which is fine. I mean, we're getting labels, we're getting mappings, so this is fine. Routing BGP. Just want to have a look to our route reflectors. I should just have one session to a route reflector now, which is fine. RR1. That's fine. We are doing both of those. This might even be the case of going back onto the documentation, to be honest. But this is the whole point of this video, is labbing and relearning and figuring out. Because like I said, I haven't really touched like any big service provider stuff for MikroTik in a while. Got some LSAs, we've got some opaque things, that's good. I just quickly want to dart off to the docs quickly. Although I think MikroTik doesn't really have a good documentation currently for MPLS. If I remember, the MPLS like references and case studies is blank. There's nothing here. But we might want to just have a look at... I might also want to have a look at the BGP stuff. But let's just look at LDP. Anything interesting here? No. You know what would be really funny? If I watch my own video to fix it. Because I think I might actually do that, to be honest. That could be a fun thing to do. YouTube.com. So if I look at let's just reject all this shit. The network Berg. Wow. So if I go to my videos and we search, because I think I even labeled it like route reflectors work. It was this. And it was the same type of symptoms, same type of errors. So I'm just curious to see what past me did to fix it. Hello, sir. Do you have the configs anywhere? Oh, sorry, I don't want to... LSR, this is all still pretty straightforward. We're not going to sit an hour and watch myself. Even though that sounds really fun. Where was the... Sorry guys, I hate it when YouTube plays me an ad for myself in my own stream. So there's the PEC setup. I just want to have a look at the route reflector setup. Oh, come on, YouTube, I literally just watched the same ad. I just watched the same ad. Alright, route reflector. And the BGP. I'm actually just interested in this last section here. How crazy is it that I'm watching myself do this? And this is potentially why I record videos, so I can help myself. Alright, that's fine. IBGP, RR, da -da. I also guess this is where people are usually complaining. They're like, hey, the text is so small. Can I read that? It is quite small, to be honest, but I'm also not watching full screen. Let's just see, we've got a local role. Okay, but that's fine. This is just a PE connecting to the route reflector with the same IP family. I don't see anything really different there. There, I also set it per VRF, customer 1, all that good stuff. That's really weird. Really, really weird. There must be some other underlying issue. Maybe it does have to do with the RSVP stuff that I'm doing as well. Oh man. Alright. Enough of that. Let's just quickly disable RSVP on all these interfaces. Maybe that helps, maybe it's just a madman stream. Admin this, export, we've got some TE stuff here, so I can just disable that. MPLS this, paste that. Remove 1, remove 0, export, nothing. So I've gone and done 2, 4, I don't know if I've done 1, I don't think so. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. This node just needs a reboot, but I think that's more of a graphical issue. Although maybe it's not, maybe that's the reason our stuff's not working. So let me just restart this node. And for good measure, I'm just going to restart the route reflector as well. And I might also just disable the MPLS settings on the route reflector, because we don't really need that again. Has that already booted up? That seems crazy fast to me. That doesn't seem right. System, was it system uptime? System hardware? No, that's not right. System. You don't see it in the health. Uptime. It shouldn't be in the clock, is it? No, it can't be. But again, this is where Google is so nice. System uptime, CLI, MikroTik. Is it in the resources? System resource print. Alright, I should see it there, so that's fine. System resource print. There we go. Alright, so we're it did reboot, so we're fine there. But what I want to do is just disable the LDP stuff on here. I don't think we need it, to be honest. MPLS LDP. I might just set this to be disabled. So copy this, paste it, set disabled. Yes. And then MPLS LDP interface, set disabled. Yes, 1, 0. And let's just check, is our BGP sessions up? So routing BGP session print. PE4, PE2, PE3, PE1. All our sessions are established, which is great. All right, let's quickly go back onto our PE2. All right, we're learning that route, I think I still need to finish off P3. So let's just export this one, admin, password, export. Yeah, there's a bunch of traffic engineering stuff here, so we can just go into this sub menu and we can do a disable 3, 2, 1, 0. And we can quit, no, we don't quit out. So let's just do another export. Okay, that's fine. All right. Let's get back onto the CE. It's still timing out. All right, let's start with some basics. I'm just going to packet capture on Ether 2 this time. I just want to see if those packets come in correctly. Although it shouldn't have anything to do with CE2. In theory, I should be able to get out from PE2 to PE4 directly over that VRF. Oh, oops. Well, this is quite cool that we can see stuff like the ICMP echo. can drill down a bit into here. Source address, destination address. That's fine. Nothing wrong with this. I might just quickly get onto Winbox as well from PE4, because troubleshooting this, like doing it from CLI and Winbox, either way is fine, either way is good. I think I'm just going to be a little bit quicker on Winbox to PE4. And then I can just quickly minimize PE1. And sorry, let me just try and get this in here. There we go. Is that PE1? I don't want PE1, I only want PE2. So PE2, you can come here, please. Thank you. And I might just zoom out of PE2 so I can actually see nicer what I'm doing. Close the windows, and let's have a look-see. So the MPLS LDP stuff is fine. I'm pretty confident the MPLS stuff portion is fine. We probably will have to revisit everything, but I didn't tweak anything with the LDP. And if we look at our routing BGP to our RR1, it's got the right families, got the right details there. From 10.5, that's fine. If I look at our routing table for that customer, routing IP routes, all right, that's fine. All right, so let's go into our routing BGP VPN. Distinguishers look good. VRF is right. I mean, I could set it to also just do the BGP again, but we're probably going to see something weird with the route information. Like, I don't like that we're learning our own route, and that looks like that's being hardware offloaded. Okay, that's fine, but I think that might be a bit finicky. Like, it's learning it from eBGP, but it's being hardware offloaded from its peer as well, which is not something we really want. I think also maybe what I want to set is on PE2 with regards to the BGP sessions. Let's maybe do a set next hop self as well. Start with the filters. I'm sure it was an extra tab. Oh, but before I just deep dive a bit further, let's just quickly see if I ping out towards, what was it, 164.19 from the customer VRF. That still fails. Tools, packet sniffer, and this is also just a packet capture really. So let's just do the destination IP 164.19. Apply that, start that packet. Connections. Maybe I'm not being granular enough. Let's just Disable that, stop it. It's really going to be so simple. It's going to be like one setting that I forgot to turn on. Next hop choice for self. That's what I'm looking for. So we can do a next hop choice for self. Well, I don't think that's like the issue. No. Let me just make a slight tweak to the BGP VPN config, although I know it works with per VRF. Let me just do it per prefix. Routing MPLS, no, it's routing BGP VPN per prefix. Enter that. Disable, re-enable. It's this is so silly. It's not anything with router ID. Let's just check the OSPF configs as well. But I really don't think it's anything to do with the OSPF. I can disable this traffic engineering stuff. Yeah, I've got a Wireshark session running. So we can look at that a little bit and also try and deep dive from there. Let me just disable this MPLS TE stuff, although I really don't think that will cause any type of issue. So let's just jump onto PE1 as well, routing OSPF. I think I already disabled it on here. No, I didn't, or I did, but I just re-enabled it earlier. Connect ROM on, let's get onto our, I think it's PE3, I'm not done with yet. Am I still running traffic ends on here? No, okay, that's fine. Routing OSPF. Just turn off the TE stuff. All right, let's just jump onto the providers as well, although I'm pretty sure their stuff is off. Routing OSPF. No, never mind. I can just pop out of there as well as quickly as I come in. No, it's all right. No worry, Paul. This is a open, friendly lab session. Like, I think I've mentioned it in the first session that I did 2 weeks ago. Like, this is also not like me showcasing things or anything. It's literally just me labbing and chatting to you guys and hopefully breaking things and fixing things. I just did P1, let's do P2. Disable, and do P3. IP, not IP, routing OSPF. Turn off. And then the last one. It's Winbox. Oh. P4. Disable that. And for good measure, let's just get onto the router reflector as well. I just maybe want to do a little bit of troubleshooting from there as well. Connect to ROM on. We've got a RR1 somewhere. Although this connect bit doesn't really have any bearing, so I don't really need to be worried too much about it. Let's make sure we've got sessions. Yes, we do. We're sending 2 prefixes, that's fine. I mean, that's expected because we're like learning 2 prefixes. Like we should be learning, where is it? Actually, I might actually need to re-enable the LDP. Let me just quickly do that. Enable you guys. All right, let me just quickly go back. No, that's still timing out. What's the old wiki? MikroTik. L3VPN MikroTik. Although this is really outdated, like most of this isn't relevant with version 7 anymore. Just go back to the main page quickly. Router is, and with the BGP, actually I think it's going to be in the MPLS section. Is it? I'm looking for reflector. Ah, they don't have it there. BGP. I know for a fact there used to be a configuration thing here for. Hey, AV. I know for a fact there used to be a thing. Oh, the Discord. I decommissioned the Discord. It's kind of pointless for me to keep that around. Like it's a nice place for people that's, you know, in the network Berg community to also just hang out on Discord, but it's just like I think an extra admin overhead almost, because MikroTik is their own official Discord server anyway, so most people that come to the Discord server are just there for, you know, a quick, hey, how can you help me set up this thing, this one specific thing, and then nothing else actually happens on the server. So it felt like a waste. Not that it is a waste talking to people, but you get what I mean. It's just like I'm not gonna find what I'm looking for here. Let me just search for route reflector MikroTik. Route reflector MikroTik. I'm the first. I'm the first one to pick up. So I might actually end up looking at my own video again, like properly. Is there anything interesting here? From when is this mum? Because mum hasn't been a thing in a while. Was this stamped? Is there a date on this? Or am I missing it? Seems like a bunch of random stuff. It's fine. This is also old. Way too old. Not gonna find anything there. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. This is also pretty old code as well. There's some stuff that's changed in here as well, even though it's version 7. No. Just want to have a look at this. Oh, it's the same setup I just looked at earlier. Oh geez, this is like from last year. My issues with BGP VPLS, although at first look seems related to BGP route reflector issue previously. No. Can you please describe the issue? Well, the issue right now is I'm learning the routes across the network. However, I can't actually get any breakout. I'm not getting any response back. And there's a few ways that MikroTik usually goes around fixing this stuff, but I think, to my knowledge, I've set everything up the same way that I had it working before. I did actually make a change with the next hop as well. No, Amy, the Discord server is deleted, so nobody got kicked. Nobody was getting like banned or getting removed from the server on purpose. It was a general thing. I posted about it on the server before I deleted it as well, and on the YouTube community tab. I actually left it for a couple of weeks before I deleted the server. It's just, you know, it just wasn't worth it anymore. No. VRF, that's fine, man. These settings seem fine. Let me just go back onto the PE2 and PE4 quickly. Routing BGP. Do I have 4 open? I do. I'm just going to change this back to per VRF quickly. And I might also, oh, that's PE1. What is that? Sorry, I just saw there's like an exclamation mark there. All right, change that back to per VRF, and we're redistributing connected. You think I should change? I don't think I should have to change the route distinguisher. That seems fine in my opinion. Damn, where's my video? Route reflector. MikroTik. But if we like hit, because I'm still going to be streaming for 30 minutes or so to troubleshoot this. If we don't sort it out in that 30 minutes, I'll probably like offline figure it out as well, but I won't just fix it and like sneak it back in or anything. We'll talk about it in depth. But I'm just making sure you guys know like the stream will go off like in 30 minutes. So if we don't fix it before then we'll figure it out later. where is my BGP VPN setup? That's fine. I should be able to just pop the speed up as well, double that. Quad speed. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the route distinguisher. Alright, that's fine. That's cool. Still had the same options. I mean, this video, is the video even a year old? No, it's not. So the config shouldn't have changed that much. It must be an underlying thing. It must be. It's just weird that it is actually working since we're learning the routes. Route distinguisher should be unique. It should be unique per customer, but if it's for the same VRF, it should in theory be the same router ID, well not router ID, route distinguisher. If it was like customer 2 site or something, then I'll use a different RD for them. Then I'll use maybe like 300:2 or something. Because here we can see I'm on PE1 and I'm configuring a route distinguisher of 111:1. Label allocation is per VRF, which is exactly what we're doing. We're importing route, exporting route targets. And we're doing a little bit of a redistribution. So nothing fancy. That's just from the one PE. Jump onto the second PE. That's good, Paul. Yeah. Although I'm getting freaked out since I'm... there's the label, okay. But what I'm getting freaked out about is... Man, I'm losing my train of thought here as well. YouTube ads. Getting your ads in your ads. I mean, this is in theory the same type of setup, guys. It's just like a little bit smaller. On MikroTik VRF is changed. Right now is interface based, as on Linux. Did that change? I remember reading that. Hang on a second. Where do we change that? Where do we set this? Let's just quickly go in here. Do we do it in the routing table? Was it routing table? Customer 1? No, it's not there. There's setting for it here. That's the VRF stuff. Under peers. That doesn't make... Because if I go to, let's say to PE2, let's just find it quickly. Let me just maximize this. Because it is redistributing, it is advertising the routes for this VRF. So it's in theory kind of working. It's just not routing back. Because I'm not sure where I should be changing. You're talking about under peers. Is there another new peers section, or for the BGP connections, like the BGP peers? Because the only peer that I'm technically having to do anything with regarding the VRF is to my route reflector, and that should be in the main routing engine. Starting from router is version 7.14. I see. How do I set that then? Hang on. Let me get onto the documentation as well. So if we look at, I think it should be under the VRF, so virtual private. Is VRF under virtual private network, or is it under MPLS? I always forget where they put this. It's not under routing, is it? There it is, under routing, virtual routing forwarding. Because I did see Olga make some updates recently. I did see that. If you scroll down here, you could actually see it when people from MikroTik make changes. There, I could see Olga made some changes on the 16th. I saw that. But what is the change? And thank you for help. Thanks for supporting the channel, Paul. That's what I mean to say. IPVRF. Okay, I don't see anything that's, there we go. VRF interfaces in Firewall. This is exactly like what you copy pasted, I think. Before outrace version 7.14, Firewall filter rules with the property in-out interface would apply, blah, blah, blah. These rules no longer target individual interfaces. But why? Yeah, I'm gonna have to like read quite a while. We can add some of these rules and see if it actually makes a change. IP firewall filter, because this is just an input rule. Let's test some of this out. Well, this looks like black magic to me. Look into BGP section, same document. So BGP. Ah, it took me to BGP. Different services can be placed in a specific VRH, which service listening incoming, outgoing. By default, all services in the main routing table, but it can be changed with a separate VRF parameter. All right, so that's fine. This is technically what we did when we connected to the customer edge. Like we specified which VRF and routing table we were connecting from, so we could actually get to the customer edge and form the BGP peer to get that neighbor up. So that I think is fine, unless there's some other thing here with the BGP. But I think this firewall rule bit is actually the main issue, the main culprit. It might be. Because from a configuration standpoint, from when it worked last time, like the only change that I see is this 7.14 change with the firewall rules. But does that mean I need to add four? This is a little bit weird. I'm hoping it's like this, because then it's really straightforward and we can fix it, but it'll feel weird. IP firewall filter add chain input in interface. So our in interface here is going. Why is the in interface VRF5? Does it create an actual interface on the? Hang on, I need to have a look here. Ether PE2 IP firewall. If we go into our filter rules, in interface, customer 1. What? Hang on. Now this can't be right. Is it? In interface is our customer 1 stuff. I mean, I get that we can see the traffic now, but I can't see how that would like fix like the pings from working. If the pings work now, then this is like crazy people logic to me then. No, it's not working. All right, because technically I've got a firewall address, like there's nothing on this MikroTik. It should just be allowing everything by default at the moment. But it is interesting that you can like see. I mean, maybe we should also just add a forward chain for the same thing as well. Add the double mad logic, maybe that fixes it. Action forward, except in interface, customer 1. Right. No. But that's interesting. I mean, I didn't know that. I didn't know it. You can interfaces that are added in the VRF. A VRF interface is created automatically if it is needed to match traffic that belongs to that VRF. So it's not that you have to do it, it's that you can do it. Okay, so that makes sense to me. Okay, so there's something else that's causing like the layer 3 VPN to not work. It's definitely an underlay issue. Or with my route reflector setup. Like it's either the route reflector setup. The quickest way to test to see if it is one thing that we could do is potentially just peer directly with, instead of the route reflector, just to test and see if this actually works, is I can go into the Ether 2, and then instead of getting route reflected, I could grab this, and I'm just going to update the remote address to PE4, and then I'm going to do the same to PE4, except I'm not going to do RR client, I'm just going to do an iBGP connection. And then for PE4, similar type of thing. So we're going to connect to RR there. Remote address is going to be .8. And this is an iBGP connection. All right, we should see that the session is at least up, is it? There's a session there. But that's the old session. I might just have to quickly disable, re-enable, good old. See if it comes up. Let's see, can I ping 172, what was it? Was it 29, 255, 10? Single session. Oh, that's the wrong freaking device. Let's just see, is our session up? It is 43 seconds. Okay. Ping was still failing. PE2, and where's PE4? The side. That looks freaky. I did set both for IBGP, yes, that's fine. See, am I learning the routes? I am. This is really freaking weird. It's not gonna be something with this. If I add this to the customer one VRF, I don't think this will even let the session come up. Oh, hang on a second. I think I might know what you're talking about. Let me. No, because it can't be. Because what happens if you're running multiple customers? You're not going to have a BGP connection per customer, are you? That would really defeat the purpose of deploying layer 3 VPN services, especially for multi-customer or multi-tenant environments. I mean, we can try it, but I don't see that this should connect. And I mean, I could also be misreading what you're saying. Maybe I actually need to read Olga's document a bit better here and see what's happening. Because there's definitely a lot that's been put in here, as you guys can see. Like, the docs are actually quite solid for the VRF. Like, Olga's done a ton of great work here. The simplest MPLS VPN setup. This is also working more like a case study, to be honest. CE routers we don't really care about. PE routers we care about. So what we need is a bridge, which is now the loopback address. We've got some interfaces. We've got a customer 1 in Ether 1, that's fine. We're running LDP. LDP interface. And that is the AS that they're using. Then we're using a routing BGP and VPN customer 1. Routing root, print where, address family, VPN v4. Okay, it's fine. The issue is, it's not that we're not learning the routes, it's just not working correctly. I have no idea, Joseph. You'd have to troubleshoot it. There's so many reasons why they could not be intranet. It must be something so small and so silly that I'm doing. Because the configs are very, very basic. Because we've now moved from using a... Hang on. Let's make this extremely simple, but I really shouldn't be doing this as a quick fix. But this is something just to quickly see if this is the reason why, is I'm going to connect PE4 and 2 directly together. Yeah. So Ether 10, I'm just going to connect cables directly. This is a little bit unconventional. I would not recommend doing this. This is just me seeing if this stuff is actually working. So what I can do is grab PE2 and PE4. And we can quickly just add an IP address on that new interface that I created. So going to be very basic with this 10.0.3.1/30 on Ether 10. .2 on Ether 10. Apply. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is just add that into LDP. So we'll go into our MPLS. I'm not sure if you guys see this. Do you guys see this? I have LDP disabled on PE4. That's that's really bad. Yeah, it's starting to turn into like mad doctor logic at the moment. But the fact that the LDP was disabled there is not good. And that might actually have been the whole reason. Let's just quickly change this route reflector stuff back. I'm still just going to use the main routing table for both. BGP. Come on, let me get back in there. Routing BGP. It should be the main routing table as well. All right, I'm again learning the routes, which is fine. Let's just source from 164.110. No, that's not where I'm sourcing from. 0.9. That was the issue. That was the issue, guys. The freaking LDP that I forgot to turn back on PE4. This was the issue, 100%. This was the issue. So I'm I'm going to disable these firewall rules that we added, even though I understand why Olga brought that up, because it's there so that you can reference your VRF. So if you need to do like intra-VRF stuff quickly with a firewall, it's there. So that's actually quite nice. I appreciate that. Now to test, you know, I'm also just going to take this link out on this Ether 10. We don't need it. We don't want to make things really complicated now. Let me just remove the IP addresses as well. 10.3.0, whatever, go away. And let's put the route reflector back into the equation just to see if it works with the route reflector. So route reflector was .5, if I remember correctly. .5. Just going to do the same on this other router, .5. And let's just disable, re-enable, disable, re-enable. Check if we get sessions. Sessions we do get. All right, so let's test and see from CE1, can I actually get to the CE2 IP? No, that's timing out. So there's probably another simple thing somewhere, but let's quickly see from the provider edge. PE2 is where I want to be. Because we just had ping working, and it is still working. All right, if that's working, if the ping actually goes through, then the VRF stuff, because this wasn't working earlier, like this was completely down. So we've got that. I just want to have a look at our routes quickly. So we are learning about 192.168.20.0/24. And from PE4, we are learning about .10. All right, so that looks good. That actually looks good. So from our CE, I just need to make sure about our routing quickly. Okay, that's fine. CE1 is getting a default route out. How's about CE2? Do I even still have a session open to it? Yes. IP route print. Okay, so we do get default route out both ends, so that is fine. So 164. Let's just see if I can get to the PE2 address from CE2. Ping source address 192.168.20.1 times out. I do have 20.1. Can I ping 1.9? I should be able to. Yes, okay, that's fine. So let's do a quick trace. I think you need to do a tool trace route. All right, so let's try to get to 192.168.10.1 from 192.168.20.1. All right, but the trace route isn't going to really give us much info since we're using the MPLS as well. So let's just run a continuous ping. And this will help a little bit. But one thing I'm not really happy with that I'm seeing is like I'm learning these hardware routes, hardware offloaded routes, which makes sense because I'm using like MPLS. It's just I don't recall seeing this actually being a thing. All right. But at least we did get one good step. I mean, one thing we can quickly do before we run out of time is just quickly set this again back to the... Oh, hang on. I see another thing that I'm not doing right. Although I'm pretty sure you could leave that as iBGP and that should work fine. But let's just set it to iBGP RR client. Disable, re-enable. Do the same for PE2 or PE4, I should say. So routing BGP. Reset the role to RR client. Disable, enable. Let's just see, sessions should come up. And that they are. Nah, that still times out. Because we need to think of this logically, like from CE2, it will send its payload to PE4. PE4 will look at the client's routing table. So this is the customer 1 routing table. Okay, at the moment, it's not learning any of the other prefixes. So that is a problem. Let's just check. Am I actually... I wonder if I'm redistributing the BGP routes on MPLS. Or layer 4 VPN, I should say. So let's go into routing. No, there it is. It just popped up there. Is it doing the thing where it's like seeing the routes and they come and go? Let's see if it's still failing. Yeah, it's still failing. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. I'm not sure what the difference is between BGP and BGP MPLS VPN. What is that? Let me just quickly disable the one and enable the other and see what it does. I mean, in theory, it makes sense what it does. Let's see what happens now. Nothing as far as we can see. Let's just force the session back up. I mean, we could refresh it and stuff like this, but it's quicker for me to just down it and up it again. I think what that actually is going to do is these Y routes that we learn, it's going to redistribute that. But that still doesn't look right. That definitely doesn't look right. All right, let me just change it back. 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. I know I said I'd end the stream at like now, but 5 more minutes. I just want to test something. All right, so we've got this. We've got the right remote address. I mean, the quickest thing for me to test would just be to... We've got VPN v4, which is exactly what we want. We're learning the right stuff there. I'm also just quickly going to... Although force self should be a default config, actually. Should be... Like force self should be what we want to use, to be honest. But I'm just going to disable that quickly. And... I'm wondering if I want to use crazy people logic again, just for a second. I just want to bypass the route filter again. Or not the route filter, I should say the route reflector. Okay, disable, enable, get up. Come on, get up. Make sure I've got the right details in here. Remote address. Actually, that's not 8. Sorry, that's why that's not coming up. There we go. Got some update messages there. Okay, let's quickly see here now. Well, it's still failing, so spectacularly. Oh, but I'm also set to be a RR client. So let's just go back to iBGP as well. Routing BGP, BGP, iBGP. Disable, enable sessions. Watch LDP be disabled somewhere again. Alright, that's still failing. I just want to see, can I ping across? Okay, that's failing at the moment. I haven't changed much. Although I did make some changes with the redistribution. But I mean, that was the connected address. That's the local address. Let me just refresh this BGP session as well. Oh, it's still per prefix. That's also definitely not what we want. Let me just set that to the right setting. Per VRF. One was doing per VRF, the other one per prefix. Not good. Although we're timing out again now. What about from the CE? Nope. Yeah, this information is fine. I'm just going to take out this BGP VPN as well. I thought I did. Just disable that. Okay, I'm just going to change this back to the route reflector, and one more small thing I want to check, and then I'm going to call it a night. Although it is worth it for us to just set the right role again. Our client. Refresh, renew. There we go. The ping was up. I saw it for a second. Hurry up. Do I need to force it again? Maybe it's something with the session now. Let me just quickly go into the route reflector. Deal. Okay, so we've got 8 and 10. Disable, re-enable, look at our sessions. That's fine. All right, ping is responding again. Let's quickly see from our customer edge. Still failing. Gosh darn it. All right, cool. I'm going to possibly just do a little bit more troubleshooting, but that might only happen like on Saturday after I've written my Juniper exam, because I'm actually writing a Juniper exam on Saturday afternoon. So after that exam, I'll probably come back to this lab and just take a look and see why this bit is failing. I mean, it's again going to be probably something silly, and I just want to have another read up on the VRF and BGP configs from MikroTik itself, and I might even again watch my own video like we did, but I'll probably properly watch it and see, hey, if I messed up something silly from the beginning as well. So this is where I'm going to end off the stream. Guys, thanks for tuning in. It's been a blast. I had a lot of fun nabbing, had fun chatting with you guys as well, and can't wait to do it again next week. So same time, same place. See you guys fairly soon. Bye bye.